Hatching and cross-hatching. In this video, we'll learn to use line to create value. If you're following along with the video, we're going to use two geometric forms on which to learn how to place our hatching and cross-hatching, a cube and a sphere. Start by drawing two cubes and two spheres. Hatching and cross-hatching are traditional techniques used with pen and ink, so I'll switch to a pen at this point. You can hatch and cross-hatch with any mark-making tool. Use straight lines when hatching across flat surfaces. The straight lines help to communicate the flatness of those planes. Increase the density of your lines, that is, leave less space between your lines, to create darker values. To cross-hatch a cube, we'll also use straight lines since the sides are still flat, and we'll build up layers of evenly spaced lines to create darker values. When using hatching on a rounded surface, make sure that your lines follow the form. On this sphere, I'll use lines that curve more as I get towards the outer edges of the form. Lines that pass through the center of the sphere will be straighter. I'll continue to use curved lines on this curved surface and reduce the amount of white space in areas that are supposed to be in shadow. Remember, we reduce that white space by decreasing the space between our lines, or in effect, building up the density. Cross-hatching and hatching often begin in the same way, but instead of increasing the density of line to create darker values, again like the second cube, we'll use evenly spaced lines that change direction to create a range of value. Use shorter and shorter lines that back farther away from the highlight. This will help to create a gradual change in value from the highlight to the core of the shadow. Make sure to hatch in a unique direction with each layer, not repeating any direction that you've used before. I'm going to add in a cast shadow to each of these forms, and I'm going to follow the same rule that I used when applying hatching and cross-hatching lines to the cube. I'm going to use straight lines because I want the surface that these forms rest on to appear flat. Just like the forms themselves, the shadows use either density of line to create darker areas, as with the hatching, and layers of evenly spaced lines to create darker areas, as with the cross-hatching. I hope you've enjoyed Hatching and Cross-Hatching, brought to you by HowToArtVideos.com.